So just so you all know, I like to use this phrase a lot, and I'm going to explain what it means, and I'm going to show you with the cards how that works. But I always like to say the deck is less woo and more you. Meaning, you know, it's not like some strange energy from the heavens. This is your energy. This is about you. So what I like to do, and by the way, I think a deck always has a little bit of the personality of the person who's reading it too. So you're going to find different readers have different points of view. One of the things that I really like to do, and what I did with Chakra Wisdom Oracle, with my amazing editor, she came up with, and I came up with how the card would be outlined in the book. And one of the things I did was, I feel that when we look at a personal inquiry, what's a personal inquiry? Like, it's something that we're asking ourselves, and we're asking for a truth within, and it's an inquiry. And you'll hear this from me a lot. You'll hear it in my book. You'll hear it in the new toolkit that's coming out. I use the word be in, the term really, be in inquiry. And it's really funny, the copy editor would come in and go, you can't be in inquiry, you know. And what I like to say is that, you see, query is the question. Querent is the person asking the question. If you're in inquiry, you're in the question. If you're in the querent, you're in yourself. So when I say be in inquiry, it's about being in a solemn, if you will, but not sad, but there's a difference between isolation and solitude, right? So it's like a solitude of being in a personal inquiry. So when I say it's less woo and it's more you, it's a meditative, prayerful state that you're looking to create, because that's where your answers lie. So I did ask my test subject to come in and to, it feels like so scientific. Now I'm going to be getting like scientific on you. But what I asked was, what would you like to look at? And she said she'd like to look at her love life, see what's going on. There's a spread I do quite often. It is darkness, dawn, and light. And it's 3 cards. And I'm going to show how it goes from your subconscious to what's dawning on you, right? So your dawn. And the light, the highest calling of a card. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the inquiry for you to take on. So instead of me just telling her things, there are going to be questions to inquire, so you can see how it's less some kind of esoteric thing, but more practical for her to work with. Do I have permission to read you again?
Yes.
All right, great. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and tap the cards and just send energy in for me. Perfect. Now, because I've been working with her, we already know her guides are in the room. They're working with us. So one of the things that I like to do, I'm a nut for shuffling, and when decks are new, they're still stiff, but it'll loosen up, don't worry. Okay, so I'm going to pick darkness, dawn, and light, and you may notice I pick randomly. Sometimes I don't necessarily cut the deck. It just depends on how you want to work with the deck. I like decks because they're pictures, and they tell me a story. So when I look at a story for you, and I look at darkness is the despondence card, right? This is the 6th sense, 6th chakra. Vanity, which is the throat, it's communication, blue. Abundance, which is the 3rd chakra, which is our thinking. And this is about making wise choices. You know, there's 2, and it can be choice of money, it can be choice of love. But since we're looking at love, let's take a look at love. All right, so the first thing is with despondence. It's when I look at that in the deeper sense, this tells me that love from the family of origin has been a real challenge. And so when you have that, what happens is that it always has this foundation in a funny way of certain drama. Now when I say drama, and this is important to define this, is that drama in itself means that you're going outside you. You're not in you. You're looking at what other people are doing, right? So let's take a look. Before I get too into it, I'm going to just pull this card in the personal inquiry out of the book so you can get a sense how the book will align with the work we're doing right now. And so despondence is violet iris, and the inquiry, the personal inquiry, in which part of my life am I feeling immobilized? I know what I need to do, but am I willing to trust myself? So I think what this tells me is that you do know how to love. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. You do know how to love. And it's when it says trusting yourself, it's really trusting yourself in spirit that the right thing will happen. And the reason sometimes that we get immobilized is because if love hasn't been presented to us in a way that we understand it, it's going to scare us when it shows up. And so the key with love is to stand still and let it find us, right? Mm-hmm. Now, so that personal inquiry is really the part that is less woo, because it's really asking you a practical question, you know? So let's take a look at the second card. Now, this is her subconscious, if you will, the darkness, what's the basis, what's come from the past, okay? The second card is vanity, which is blue. Hold on. No, I'm not quite knowing where it is. Ah, here it is. Okay, so the second card of vanity, this is what's dawning on you, and the personal inquiry is, am I feeling disconnected from my people, from any people in my life? Am I growing away from limiting relationships?
Yes.
So the answer is yes. So the thing about it is that you just, when we look at vanity, it's like no longer wanting to be with people because it looks good or because it's supposed to be a certain way. It's like, you know, or am I expressing myself in a different way? So you see how that begins to go, oh, you know, I can see this. And the inquiry is very personal. It's not something that, and I may answer differently. You might answer differently. But what's important is that you're in the inquiry of it. Now, when I pull this third card for her, I promise I'll give you a little bit more insight, but I wanted to just say to you that the third card of abundance is actually one of the only real money cards in the deck. Interestingly, it's gold coins, so it shows up in money, right? Mm-hmm. Gold and yellow. But let's take a look at this. It says personal inquiry. Be wary of using your financial situation as an excuse to avoid doing something. Are your thoughts and actions around money empowering or disempowering you? Oh, yes. Yeah. So if we look at this, right, and there's also something, the key idea, if that didn't answer it, because obviously she's asking about love, right? But let's look at the key ideas right below it. Again, less woo-woo. The key idea says abundance through gratitude. Releasing regret, being good with money. But the releasing regret, that kind of resonated with me. Did that strike you at all?
I don't know that I regret anything.
Well, you may not regret anything, but it's like, I think it's subconscious. I don't think, because if we go back to despondence, it's like the regret is loving people that didn't love you back, that didn't know how to love.
You know, in that sense, that makes sense.
And so if we tie it back together, it's not like you have great regrets, but we look at that and say, now we can look at new choices. Once we know what the issue is, like with the despondence of, and there's a lot of self-forgiveness in that, forgiving yourself for loving people that were not really there for you. So the thing is that when I look at these three cards for you, what it tells me about love is that who you are is in the process of evolving into that place where you know you can stand still and let someone love you. And you know that it's a choice, because I look at this third card of abundance and it says it's a choice. Wise choice, not so wise choice, you know. So I think that, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So you can get a sense, everybody, and there's more here that I would probably read for her, but the point is that in the personal inquiry, that's where you get the sense of a practical application of how the cards work in your life. I'll see you next time.